Test. One, two, three. Test. One, two, three. Ich weiß nicht warum dieser. Test. Test. One, two, three. One, two, three. Test. One, two, three. One, two, three. I don't know, man. Not happy with that. Whatever, let's try it out anyways, fuck it. Project Rosenthal. Let's not fail because out of laziness, but because winning would be too easy. Preface. I have experienced moments when I felt like life would be my personal canvas. These moments come rare, but even though I have no proof, it seems that the more I get aware of myself, the more these moments happen. I remember it has been quite the opposite for most of my life. Usually, there's always something you have to do, something you've been told or expected to. But what if you just don't, if you're not complying? Actually, nothing bad happens. You know how puberty is. It's just trying to surround yourself with peers with similar interests, finding a group to belong. I'm not sure if we are already aware that we might become what we are looking for in these people, or if this is unconscious. But this will happen definitely. We'll embody certain characteristics and kind of adapt their lifestyle and choices. We're plugging in into micro levels of groupthink, and this is partly good for us. You get some kind of identity, finding yourself in a group, it's a role you're not sure about yet. You have this thing you're doing together, depending on how deep your relationship grows and how you should weigh this, how you think you should act about these things. Simultaneously, your brain starts to wander, grows philosophical thoughts, and asks all sorts of questions. So while you're getting a hold, your brain pushes you to find no rest and continue your journey. This is a really good part of a developing brain. Later, it's going to be harder and harder to motivate yourself to keep moving. That's why developing helpful habits early on is a gift for each one of us, and why having a loving family who supplies us with good mindsets is priceless. Accepting and being in peace with the feeling that there might be no one answer but many and use it for constant growth just isn't as pleasant as stop asking. Why bother? Is it even worse? During the last years, I have been in many different circles, and very consciously I have put myself in positions where I could learn and adapt from other people. But life might drive you apart. You have different lives, and somehow it becomes hard to relate. You feel close, share memories, and have the same conversations over and over again. Trying to hold on, but knowing it might not be enough sometimes. It's trust which keeps us from losing each other. Knowing someone so deeply, feeling his or her core pull at him. Being physically divided does not change the fact that good friends have become part of you. Hoping that this bond will never break, but be fearing it could happen. I am, in so many ways, parts of other people, and I have shared me as a being, but not enough yet. On some level, we are all connected, even if we're not feeling it. I see people closing up, being afraid of other people, doubting sincere hug. I don't know you, but I know deep inside we all just want to be loved for who we are. These days I had a chat with an old friend of mine. He didn't know what he could add to my life, what value he could bring to me. But I've never thought about this for long at the moment. This is not what friendship is about. We might find each other while we're looking for something, but eventually we're learning to love unconditionally. However, life can be a bitch, and even the strongest bond can break if there are bitterness and fear. If trust is gone, the relationship will rotten. By a woman who sincerely loved me, I learned that I have to value what's valuable for others if I wish to remain a healthy relationship. It's about listening and understanding. Even though I got this lesson many years ago, I still need to remind myself and hold back. What's important for you is important for me because I am here to assist you in your journey of life. I want you to succeed no matter what and whatever this means to you, because I believe that deep inside you are a good person. Introduction. I was the weird kid in class, the one which doesn't really fit, but somehow no one really tried to bully me. Maybe I was just not worth bothering or too feisty. Anyways, it was probably in the fifth grade when I started feeling more like a spectator than a part of the group. I started to categorize people in rankings within social dynamics, typical victim mode mentality. I didn't fit in even though I had friends and was always kind of popular. The more unsatisfied and lost I got in my little ego world, the more the others seemed to be stupid, worthless, in general just pieces of meat. My words of hate I spoke or wrote down were big, but I was a small person, elevating myself for the sake of feeling better than the others. Now, when I think about it, this time I feel ashamed. Everyone was probably just trying to get it wrong, but I had no right to judge. I didn't do any better, just different. I am still a bit of this. The past doesn't go without leaving a mark. Somewhere around the time when I hit puberty, I thought that I had found belonging. It all circled around political, philosophical people. While I was blinded by intelligence, potential, and knowledge, I developed a love for words and writing. Some years later, I would find out that the power of speech deeply fascinates me. Maybe I have an interest in power, and only the future will show if I will be strong enough to resist any temptation to misuse the power I will get eventually. Around this time, I was proud of my friends because I identified through them. I brought people together but let them lead the situation. You cannot lead if you don't know where to go, and I was the definition of not having any direction. But sometimes life throws you a bone, and I got mine when I was in my fourth secondary school. Her name was Celine. She was the most beautiful woman I had ever seen in my life. I would attach a photo if this wouldn't be a violation of privacy. Let me tell you, she was a gorgeous hazel-colored hair. This she was gorgeous. Hazel colored hair, with big solid eyes of a woman who knows that nearly no one looks deeper than on the surface. I'm getting a little sidetracked right now, but I guess she must have felt that her beauty would be both her biggest advantage and also her heaviest burden. I don't know how it feels having everybody staring at me, having their eyes light up. I even open my mouth because I have never experienced this. I think by the time now I have a good knowledge about psychological profiles, problems, and backgrounds in general. But even though I can technically explain and rationalize a decent amount of behaviors and feelings, I don't possess the ability to actually feel and empathize what the other person feels. I lack in basic human one-on-one. You probably wouldn't notice in the first place, and it really comes down how good you want to know me before you could actually realize this. But maybe this isn't true, and then it's just an over-dramatization. You know how it is, seeing yourself in some kind of narrative and or for the retransitions are fluid. Will you ever know who you are? Maybe you should try to stop nailing it down to one truth. Probably there is one, probably there is more than one. We are more complex and simpler than we think we are at the same time. Life is a paradox itself. So I was the weird kid, little nerdy and didn't take care of my clothing or even general hygiene. But then I learned I actually have control if I decide to take it. From there, everything changed. At the end of 2016, I had a breakup. I felt terrible, so I did what everyone does. First, I locked myself at home and did nothing but play computer games and masturbating to highly questionable porn. Second, at the moment this didn't work for me anymore, I got drunk as much as possible. Then finally I decided to take action and better myself. I went out for 45 days straight. I read the book Habits of a Happy Brain, in which Loretta Bräuning explains how our happy hormones work and how to apply this knowledge. I already knew a lot about pickup theory and has been a great use for me before whenever I felt bad regarding interpersonal relationships. But during the last 4 years, more or less, I had been into monogamous relationships I had to admit to myself that these were codependent and only lasted because of scarcity. So I had to jump, because ideally I am aiming for synergetic relationships in which everyone included is assisting each other in fulfilling their goals, which is in fact easier said than accomplished. Jump in the timeline. About 7 years ago, I had my first encounter with the pickup world when I was 18. I was hopeless in love with a girl, or at least the image I had about her, 190s. This was the first time I realized that I couldn't get what I wanted and didn't know why. Because I was so obsessed with her, I asked my surroundings, and luckily one guy told me about pickup. So I read everything I could find about it, and shortly after, I got into self-development. By reading in forums and recommended books, I asked myself the most important question I'd ever asked myself. Who am I and who do I want to be? Starting from this point, I internalized the mindsets of full responsibility, could better myself in every area in my life if I put the work into it. I feel nothing but gratitude for this moment. Accepting failure, rejecting, and loss is a part of growth and understanding that endurance is necessary to achieve long-term goals. I was starting to build character traits which would assist me to discover and reinvent myself. We are so much more complex than we do think, so let's never limit ourselves by the perception we have. We can become everything we wish to be and also embrace everything we are already, because we are free to choose our own destiny. So I started going out and seeking for companions for obvious reasons. Going out alone every day is hard. Luckily, I met Broccoli, who was crazy enough to participate in this challenge. In the beginning, I didn't tell him about my reasons. It was always hard for me to tell people about pickup because I'm afraid that they won't understand it the way I want them to. Ego identification with an external subject. He still doesn't understand it the way I want him to, but now I'm okay with it. We had to approach strangers, but doing so can be frightening sometimes. Approach anxiety. We would need some help, meaning the right environment, so I got in contact with the real social dynamics inner circle within. At this point, I didn't know much about RSD, and the majority of my pickup knowledge came from the old times. I met the always thinking butt fucker and everything began. Knowing theory and executing are two different things. It's not that I wouldn't cold approach people from time to time, but now this was a thing to be executed on command and it felt amazing. I remember the adrenaline rush, the rise of the heartbeat. It was so much excitement. But also at this time when it started, I felt in general as I wouldn't be valuable. I thought in order to get good in this area of my life, I would need to change completely. Therefore, my behavior with strangers wasn't congruent. It was very technical, meaning I behaved in a way which I felt I needed to behave. I overcompensated and tried to impress people by being overly engaging and demanding. I just couldn't be normal because I didn't feel as I would be enough. At this time, I used emotional anchoring to manipulate my emotions because I needed to pump up my state to feel somewhat comfortable to approach strangers. It helped me to overcome approach anxiety in a technical way, but I would face it later in my development again on a different level. Here the first field report I wrote in 2017. Field report 1st of February to 3rd of February, brackets pool. I am with a couple of friends and a girl we've met the night before at the bar. We only have one girl at the moment and I'm all alone with the wings that were upstairs. I socialize with people around me to get momentum. Then I take the girl from the night before, say that we're going to make new friends, and open with her arm in arm a huge 10 plus people set, mostly girls, Americans. Goes pretty well, literally no hesitation without hooking. I get all my friends and people I just met into the set. I start befriending the whole set and rearrange the whole sitting area because we're too many people. I find my target and we have a good chemistry right away. The pupils are wide open. I mix emotional spiking with disqualifiers. I use the canned one from history. Whenever we get along with the similar, I won't take your shit, you won't take mine, what fun is that? Later I pull the whole 10 plus people set upstairs to the pickup mansion, 5th floor, rooftop, perfect view, easy reasoning. We are getting upstairs, but neither my wings upstairs nor the whole group feels comfortable. So the group leaves, except for my target. One of my wings helps me out with home cinema, so we start to watch a movie. I am hesitating and insecure and it takes me long while until I start being physical with her. Cuddling, back stretching, massage, etc. Later when I finally realize that she is upstairs ditching all her friends for me, is more than enough of a sign. I take action and kiss close. Comfort kissing, not seduction. Around 3 a.m. she has to go, so we just start making out a little but still more creating comfort than seducing. We agreed to meet on the next day because she has to get up early for her first class. She's new to Berlin/Germany, seemed logical to me. I could have maybe pulled that night, but I felt like I don't need to be too pushy. Also, didn't have more than 2 hours of solid interaction. The next day we're chatting, but she couldn't make it. Could be a flake, but it doesn't feel like this. She's still pretty sure that she's already invested. The day after we finally meet, logistically, I know a bar where I worked, I know a lot of people over there, and I get one of my pivots, a girl I fingered but failed to get over. Last minute resistant reason of neediness. With 2 female friends to join, so my plan is to trigger social proof and pre-selection. From this location, we bounce to another bar before my target arrives. I vibe and approach couple sets with my pivots for getting social proof in this bar too. Finally, she arrived with a friend. I figure out a guy she met the day before, but totally gay. I make him my best friend. At the bar, I trigger some social proof and get here to know all the people I've just met plus my pivots. We bounce to a bar where we started to get free drinks. The social proof from my ex-co-workers. Now we split the set. My pivots go to a party, we stay and drink. Sadly, I don't see any way of dividing my target from a friend, and they really want to go to the party. I am a little worried because I remember going from comfort building location to attraction location and already messed up my sets before. Anyways, we're going to the party and meet people and meet my friends plus some RSD guys, social proof. I can't lead her in the club the whole time, but she blocks the kiss and closes dancing. She tries to friendzone me, plus ditching me to my pivots. Actually, a thing I remember I do when I force you disqualified, but at this moment it kind of makes me feel weird. I get her upstairs for sitting and talking. When I got her water, another guy was sitting with her. Amok game was easy. I wished this super friendly and made him qualify. But he could not have hooked anyways because he couldn't speak English and my target doesn't speak German. She's still okay with me being touchy but refuses to make out. But the moment she asks me about my number of sexual partners, I know that she's actually interested. I used the pre-scripted answer from Adam Lyons. I don't count, but I had a few longer and some shorter relationships. She says she's tired and therefore I want to pull her to my place. Because it's close. But she wants to go to her place, so we go there. She's okay with cutting, she says, but when I touch her, she'll hit me in the face, she says playfully. At this moment, I don't really care. I'm okay with cuddling. I say, I'm going to spoon you real hard. At her place, we go to bed and cuddle. I start to scratch her back, and I can feel I can get away with more. So I escalate. She says we still want to be friends, and then we started to make out, and I go down on her. We have passionate sex, literally no last-minute resistance. She must have enough comfort. In the morning, I wake her up with going down on her again, and we'll have sex again. We're joking about the friends thing, and she wants to get ready, so I leave her naked, satisfied on the bed with a huge smile on my face. Going to see her later. I learned that I should have more killer instinct when it comes to pulling and escalating. I need to realize earlier that she's invested would save me some doubts. Due to my wings, I learned that my main problem seems to be that I enjoy vibing too much and miss the opportunity to get down to business. Later, I realized that she's an extrovert and described by Adam Lyons and her preferred type is a leader, which is probably the reason why things work out as well, even if they perform with many flaws. Thanks for reading. When I read this now, I feel weird about me, but I don't apologize for it. It has been part of my development. Where I am right now, I realize that the main reason for her to sleep with me was that I was available. She didn't need to fear judgment and didn't give her strong reasons not to sleep with me. I try to write all of it down because it's amazing how fast a personality grows when it's under constant pressure. The way I see things now is so different from how I saw them at the time, and it will change continuously. I would say the first big shift in my head was when I realized that I'm actually already enough. After having done probably hundreds of approaches within a couple of weeks, I was reflecting on me as a person. I knew about several ideas about attractive qualities of a person, and I felt like I would already have a lot of them to a certain and good enough amount, but results, sexual experiences didn't reflect my self-image. Either I must be wrong about myself, or my delivery portrayed another not working image of me. In both cases, I had to change, which was and will always be hard on everybody because we are invested into ourselves. Identification with perception. So I got deeper into my head for a couple of days and suddenly I couldn't approach anymore. I was protecting my self-image because if I would be who I think I would be, then I should have certain results, but I didn't. Logically knowing that you are already enough and deeply internalizing it with all your emotions is not the same. I constantly struggle with the difference in speed my emotions have compared to my logical conclusions, especially in pickup and mindsets where so much ahead of my emotional development, by years of pickup conditioning but not taking action, which leads to a complete lack of fitting reference experiences. Vocally helped me to get back into approaching with techniques, but after I figured out the problem in my head, I wouldn't need any help regarding approaching anymore. in a game. I had internalized that I was actually enough, and therefore I wouldn't need to behave and approach in a certain way. I just had to be myself and congruent. Which sounds easy, but isn't indeed. You probably noticed already that you often try to project a certain image of holding yourself back just to please. But this isn't you, this isn't social conditioning in a bad way. If you can be truly yourself and outcome independent in most situations, it shows that you are good with yourself and that you don't need anything from anyone. Abundance. It's amazing how calm I have become. My heartbeat stays the same no matter what, said monitoring. Because I understand now that an individual social interaction will not drastically change my life or the perception of me being grounded, or the world indifference. It's quite easy to understand the value of self-development. Most people will at least understand what you mean by that, even if they don't agree. But I struggled with explaining to myself and others why it's so important to interact with many people. Now I understand. It's crucial to be social for at least two reasons. First, 3 out of 4 happy hormones are social, which means they get primarily triggered through social interaction. Second, and that's what I want to talk about, is personal growth. The underlying message in every interaction is the question of who is the other person, who am I, and what kind of relationship do we have or could we have? By asking this question repeatedly and being asked about it by an infinite amount of people, we have to think about it from an infinite amount of different angles. And that's how we get to know ourselves. That's how we become self-aware. Creating a starting point and analysis will allow us to plan, organize, and control. This will give us the possibility to grow in precise direction. We choose on our own and not just floating randomly and hoping for coincidence. The crucial part of this is to do this over and over again with as many people as possible. It's about being open for different perspectives every time instead of settling for your comfort zones. Having the attitude of a learner's mind throughout your whole life, like a talking life and talking and taking lessons everywhere, anytime. The hard thing about this is what we fear rejection. We fear negative emotions. We fear not being accepted. It is so much easier to circle in an environment where we have an established identity, where we have a place, whether we're satisfied with it or not. Starting from zero over and over again is frightening because we see completion. Still, the state of abundance needs to be found within yourself first before it will establish a root in your environment. The art of being able to discover and rediscover, open up over and over again, falling and standing up in an endless sequence has the highest return of investment of all things you can do. It might not always feel good, and it comes with a lot of suffering, with pain, but also with greater joy and an unstoppable process of growth. Little by little, fewer things bother, fewer things annoy, and suddenly you have done and achieved what you had never dreamed of. When growth becomes a habit, everything becomes possible, and every time you're looking back, you feel like you have become a better version of yourself. It becomes addictive, searching for friction, tension, and rejection, because the other side of the medal is that different people start to love you for who you really are, and you love expressing it in any minute of your life. By seeking the extreme, you're breaking your own barriers. You become free in all kinds of areas in your life. You step away from the mediocrity of the herd. The only question is, are you okay with giving up an instant gratification? Are you fine with being dragged and held back from your peers? Are you willing to keep moving forward no matter how hard you get it? Report 7th of February to 9th of February. Pull. I did it for the process. My wing and I went to a bar meeting some of his friends. We couldn't find him directly, so we socialized with a group of 3 people. 2 males, 1 woman, one female, who were playing cards. Some minutes later, we found his friends, 2 males, 2 women, and we merged. The one girl was sitting next to me and wasn't attractive at all, but she took all the shit I gave her, sexual teasing, etc. We tried to bounce the whole group to our home bar for social proof and better logistics, but we couldn't. So I number closed the one girl. Mawing asked me why I did number close her, and I told him, for training. I feel like I'm so much at the beginning of my journey that I should try to go as far as possible with each person. We had a little chit chat till we've met 2 days later. I uploaded. At our main bar, we became chatty with some groups. That's what the truth. Then I decided I'm really going to do this. Told my ring about it, discussed the logistics, how we can get her upstairs, and where I'm going to sleep with her. For the view and drinks. Kissed her upstairs, started to watch a movie. My wing got a call and went down to the bar. I escalated, she gave me some last minute resistance, so I froze out with watching the movie and getting myself dressed again. Tried again a couple minutes later, she still refused, then opened a video within a 12-minute duration. I said to myself, going to wait all the 12 minutes, that way I don't try too early again. Told her after the video to drop her clothes, she did. We went together to the shower because she told me she didn't. She gave me a blowjob over there, and later we had some sort of adventure because my wings were coming upstairs while we've been in the bathroom. Got back to the room of my wing, had sex, after sex, a conversation with her and the guys, bounced her to my place, had sex again, slept over, and she left in the morning. Thanks for reading. Thanks to my wings, learned that you can pull when it's on with literally no comfort game at all. But you probably have to deal with more last minute resistance. Stayed with the condom, did get attached at all, praise to Thailand. Whenever I read something from a person, I feel I get to know a bit of who they are, even if it's fiction. So likewise, I reveal a lot about me and my thinking when I put out these field reports. While I'm writing this, I go through mine, also get in touch with feelings I had when I wrote them and when they were relevant. So what is a field report? Basically, it's a reflection of a certain situation because in self-development and in pickup, you try to maximize learning effects from reference experiences. Also, it can be a bit of a community jerk-off because sometimes field reports are shared in the community, of course, for learning, but also for showing off. People with manners keep privacy and don't give away personal data. There are always some weird people. I'm not saying that I'm not weird, but I certainly would understand myself as generally socially acceptable person with some exceptions. So in the beginning, I was going out with a lot of people and got to see how different people behave in a set, the group of people. I promise you, if you go out to clubs regularly, notice some people acting a bit weird. If you notice them, they are usually not good in pickup and probably just started. But I judged, and that was wrong because you don't judge someone who's actively trying to better himself. That would be the same as shaming an overweight person who goes to the gym. On the other side, I met a lot of great people too. People who inspire me because they actively work on improving. Many people in pickup scene realize that they need to work on each area of life. That's why people in the community usually tend to create their own businesses, do sport, take care about their appearance, meditate, eat healthily, and read a ton of books. Of course, not everybody does, but for me, pickup and self-development goes hand in hand. I always felt that success with women would be a kind of a bait of pickup to get people to self-development. Regarding this, I felt like guys would be slow in realizing that they lack in purpose and acknowledging that they have shortcomings in their life. At least this was the fact for me. It took me several failed romantic encounters and one especially to drive me towards improving. This year I read The Game from Neil Strauss. It's basically a history book of how pickup started, introduces you to the characters who still exist, shows you what was possible then and confronts these problems people face becoming part of pickup scene. We were no different. Pickup is highly addictive. Learning that everybody you meet could become a special person in your life, seeing that you can behave freely without having to feel conviction, and engaging in sexual and or romantic relationships in a higher and faster sequence is an amazing experience. I have never felt so free. We got sucked so deeply into this world that it was hard for us maintaining our normal lives. Everything else seems to be too less stimulating and just a waste of time you could use for progressing. Every attractive person you see in a don't approach seems like a personal failure. I can get quite compulsive, and it has become really hard to just spend time with your friends or my friends. We often catch ourselves being less attentive to our friends while we're scanning the environment, waiting that someone could pass by who we wish to approach. We need to realize that we need balance because it's already hard to relate to people if you're going out 7 days a week and every story starts with I met this person dot dot dot. And because pickup has mainly to do with social intelligence, interactions, and knowing how to lead interaction the way you want it to be, it is necessary to be relatable to people. Some people speak of dumbing themselves down. Personally, I would speak about having a balanced life and be able to value other ways of living equally. Besides field reports, which are designed to specifically understand an interaction and making me realize pattern consciously, I write conclusions every now and then, which helps me to root ideas and mindsets. Lately, I've been going out a lot and I start to internalize theory I've processed mentally but haven't experienced in the real world at this rapid pace. It's amazing how much your character grows when it's challenged every day. Most people don't open up easily. Most don't know if they should protect us or others. Of it. There is this tension experiencing each other through a fog. It creates a certain excitement to undress another being, working through their armor, letting yourself go, let loose. Being naked, having nothing to hide, is both the most vulnerable and most untouchable state. Perhaps it's also that you got nothing left to discover. It seems to discover creates greater excitement than the product itself. So it's really about the process, no matter how good the result could be. So we are all spectators, willing to be entertained, and we don't even care if the movie is good or bad. What does this say about life? Someone claimed years ago the fear of illusion would be real. However, it's hard to join the show if you're having trouble blurring your senses. But you are most people, you are unique because everybody is. Everybody has his own view on the world. Learning to allow yourself to see the world from different perspectives. Invite other people to take a look through your eyes and let them return the favor. It requires a lot of self-discipline, a lot of character, you could say. Probably it's the only way to understand each other, even if we never fully will. We are all one, but we're also all just one. Walking side by side, always next to each other, but alone. You can walk with, but you will never walk for someone, even if you wish you could. I try to be close to others. I try to create a zero distance, but it's not possible. I want the love to be so close that I have to become practically the same being. It could be due to the fact that I have total distance to myself. I am almost completely unattached to me as a person since I work on becoming a symbol. A friend told me these days that I got no character, that all I say would be like data taken from an archive. Additionally, the data would come with little to no delay, as everything would be in order and just waiting to be requested. The statement shook me heavy.